And welcome back to Fresh Outlook on TWB. Well, the situation in Guantanomo, also known as GITMO, continues to raise controversy. Amidst a hunger strike by its prisoners this week, the president urged that the base must close. Take a look.
The number of Guantanamo detainees participating in a hunger strike continues to grow. A human rights lawyer representing 17 of them says 130 inmates are on strike.
The GITMO authorities have been acknowledging higher and higher numbers to the point where now they are acknowledging that 100 men are on hunger strike. We said about 130, and 20 are being force-fed.
Prisoners began the hunger strike in February to protest conditions and indefinite confinement. Widespread controversy surrounds the issue of force-feeding inmates.
One of my clients said that it's like having a razor blade go down through your nose and into your throat. Sometimes they use tubes that are larger than necessary. It's really like the way you would treat an animal. That's really it.
But President Obama defends force-feeding the inmates.
Well, I don't want these individuals to die. Obviously, the Pentagon is trying to manage the situation as best as they can. But I think all of us should reflect on why exactly are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Obama is pushing to close the facility, where 9 out of the 166 prisoners have been charged or convicted.
I mean, the notion that we're going to continue to keep over 100 individuals in a no man's land in perpetuity, that is contrary to who we are, it is contrary to our interests, and it needs to stop.
Despite repeated calls, Obama has offered no new path to overcoming congressional, political, and legal obstacles that blocked his earlier efforts to close Guantanamo.
All right, a lot to get to here, panel. 166 men, majority of them have been cleared, as the president just said, for release. So what's the holdup? What are they waiting for? What needs to be done? Who wants to take it? Who wants to start? Scott?
The issue here, people tend to look at the technical aspects. There are certain things that he could do on his own under present conditions. However, I think he's caught up in particular in the politics of the moment of the issue. Mm-hmm. There's a pattern that has developed over the years. The Bush administration created this system which had a lot of problems with it. The trial system, for instance, which was invented with invented rules and invented procedures and things like that, that the military prosecutors themselves were unhappy with. Lawyers for the detainees took these to the Supreme Court, and repeatedly the Supreme Court shot them down, but then deferred to Congress, which in many cases made legal again what the Supreme Court had shot down.
Right, so we keep
and
going in circles.
And the Congress deferring to the president. Since Obama became president, that pattern has kind of reversed, with Obama deferring to Congress as Congress has put up a number of obstacles. I think the underlying pattern is that the Congress has tended to defer to what is really a low understanding of what national security requires, what the law is, what the Constitution requires, and things like that. Basically, the understanding that many voters have. And I think Obama gave away this consideration in his press conference this week when he said that this is an issue that is easily demagogued. What his concern is that if he does the things that he is permitted to do, which could resolve some but not all of the questions on Guantanamo, then he was going to be attacked for releasing terrorists to attack the United States.
You can't please everyone. We know that whatever he does,
it's not a question of pleasing everyone.
No, but whatever he does, there's going to be conflict. Not everyone's going to agree either way he goes. Dee Dee, I'm curious your opinion on GITMO. What needs to be done?
Oh, I think we keep it open. I think the guy that the bomber, the guy in Boston, send him down there right now. I mean, I think we absolutely. What's he going to do with these people? I mean, I don't. What do you want them in?
But all these people that have been cleared,
backyard?
there's no question that the people who deserve to be there should be there. But the rest of these people on a hunger strike, what should be done with them?
Well, you know, them being cleared and what the situation is, I still think something like that's a little murky because, you know, why aren't they releasing them? What is it that we don't know? I mean, the thing about Guantanamo is we're dealing with terrorists. They shouldn't have the same rights we do. I'm sorry. I mean, but look at the things that they've done, the atrocities, and these certainly shouldn't be on U.S. soil.
But what about human rights, basic human rights? They don't
Look,
apply
I don't
to these
think
guys?
they should be force-fed. If they don't want to eat, don't eat.
No, they shouldn't be force-fed.
No, I don't think they should be force-fed. If they want to starve themselves, so be it.
I actually agree with you.
I don't think that's our job to force-feed them.
The American Medical Association came out saying, they came out condemning force feeding. So from a medical perspective, they agree with what's going on. I agree with you personally.
Yeah,
if these guys want to die, let them die. Apparently they're questionable people, you know, they're there for a reason to begin with. So that's my human right. If I want to starve myself, let me starve myself.
Well,
what do you
making
think?
massive assumptions here.
As the psychologist, I would agree with both of you guys. I do. I think it's their right to make their determination what they're eating or not eating or whatever. I don't think we should intervene in that, as sad as it might be or as outrageous,
right. Well,
whatever
Obama
it is.
said we can't let him die. I'm thinking, why not?
He was sensitive about that. That's what he said. But I agree. But on Gitmo itself, I think the psychology is really terrible. I think we do not look stronger having that open. I think we look weaker, and I think the far right wants to take a view that we're going to be tough and we're going to keep it open and we're going to put terrorists in there. I don't think that works for the Republican Party.
Okay.
I really don't. I think it's a sad commentary because those guys, those who need to be moved, can be moved to federal prison, a multi-secure prison.
So that's a solution in your eyes?
And try them. And if they're guilty, they're guilty.
Okay.
I mean, what are we doing? 12 years? They haven't been.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, is this hurting
Congress
our
has
image?
forbidden any federal funds being spent to move them to prisons in the United States.
Exactly.
Nobody wants them in the backyard. Do you want them in your backyard? If you live in Illinois, do you want them next door to you? I don't. I don't want them here.
There are federal prisons in Kansas that could take people in Pennsylvania.
I think the people of Kansas would not be happy with you. They don't want them there. They'd rather keep them in Gitmo.
I'm not sure about
The
that.
issue,
sure.
the word Guantanamo combines a lot of different issues in it together, which get confused at times. There is Guantanamo, the location, which I think is really the least important of the issues. Obama wanted to move them from a prison in Guantanamo to a prison in Illinois. It's not really a solution in terms of the underlying
It's
issue.
what it represents, what's going on.
It's become symbolic, yes.
Right.
And in that regard, moving them has become an issue. But there are other issues tied in with this as well. There's the system of courts, which has been changed and has been improved a lot since 2002. And so it's not as much of an issue as it used to be, although it still is. And there's the issue of indefinite detention. There's nothing in the U.S. legal system that permits the indefinite detention of people who have not been charged or tried for anything.
You know, I could tell you,
And there's now actually at least one civil rights lawyer who's decided that it's better to keep them in Guantanamo for the time being than to move them to a U.S. prison and create a precedent of keeping people in the U.S. prison under indefinite detention without having been tried or charged with anything.
Well, do you think the situation there is weakening our own legal system at home? I mean, what?
I think it makes us look weak.
I don't think so at all.
It doesn't make us look stronger when we should take these guys and we should try them and we should try them in our country. We have laws, we have rules, regulations. Let's go with what we stand for. This is not who we are. I mean, Guantanamo does not represent who we are in our best interest.
So it's against the rule of law, in your opinion?
I think it's against America's way of life and what we should have as our judicial system.
Yeah, I mean, that's Obama said it kind of goes against everything we stand for. Dee Dee, you're shaking your head.
No, they don't deserve the same rights. I'm sorry. This is a
They
different
haven't even been
category.
charged.
Well, oh wow.
They haven't even been
you know what?
charged.
And as far as
This
us
is
looking
part of the
weaker, we look
problem.
stronger
No,
because
we
we were not going to put up with the bad guys and people are terrible
What
to
bad guys?
Americans.
We
Part
don't
of the
even know who
problem
they
is
are.
that we
really?
put them in
We
there
don't know who they
and then
are.
decided that they're bad guys because they're in there.
Right.
Right.
Chicken or the
Some
egg,
of,
right.
some of them are people who were put in because they offended Uncle Ahmed at Aunt Fatima's wedding 40 years ago, and somebody in Afghanistan got a bounty for turning them in.
Oh. Is that true?
Well, listen, I've worked in federal prisons and state prisons as a psychologist. I can tell you, there are many people in those prisons who are a lot more dangerous than some of these terrorists.
How do you know? You
Because
don't know that.
I do. Because I can tell you that the psychiatric conditions of some of these people, if they were ever released, they would kill you in a second.
And you don't think they would if they're released in Guantanamo?
We don't even know
exactly,
if they're
you're
terrorists.
making the point.
We don't know
that.
We don't know that they're terrorists. And if we did, we should have charged them.
All right, guys, we got to wrap. Final thoughts, Scott. Is this ruining our image internationally?
I think it is ruining our image internationally. I think something should be done about it. The location isn't as important as dealing with the issue of indefinite detention. People who've been slated for trial ought to be tried. They could be tried in federal courts. There's no reason that they couldn't. Federal courts actually have a much better record than the
Okay.
the
Right.
Federal
courts
court,
that they
is that what
have.
you think? Your
That's what
final
I'm thinking.
thought, Rossi?
Federal courts have had a better record on this as well. Yeah, I agree.
All right,
I think we
final
keep
thought?
Guantanamo open and we make sure the all terrorists go there and people know the United States are not going to put up with this.
Okay. All right. Very conflicting outlooks on the Fresh Outlook panel this afternoon. When we return to the show, Hurricane Sandy 6 months later. That's next. Stay with us.